We are for lowering the drinking age to 18 years of age. Scientific evidence supports the fact that early introduction to drinking is the safest way to reduce juvenile alcoholic abuse.
Glenn and I are debating on behalf of not lowering the drinking age. Alcohol should not be legalized for 18 years on being, because issues involving health problems, monetary impacts, lack of proper development, drinking and driving, and most importantly, it should not be reduced because it would be detrimental for human life.
Well, actually, it was originally raised to reduce the highway mortality rate, but research and statistics have proven that that's done nothing. The mortality rate hasn't decreased at all. And so, I mean, if that was the original reason for lowering it in the 1980s, why not just go ahead and lower it back down to 18? Because, I mean, that hasn't changed at all. So.
Well, I did find contrary evidence to what you said there. Before, originally in the 1970s, they reduced the age to 18, and then what happened was, what ensued was that there was an onslaught of death and disaster. It was attributed to reducing the age. Ages 18 to 20-year-old driving under the influence, there was a jump from about 10% to 40% in alcohol-related traffic incidences in that age group. And also, whenever they well, the reason for doing that, and then they rose it again to in 1984, and in order to reduce the driving fatalities, and in turn the death rate went back down by 13%. And these increases and decreases, they weren't gradual; they were swift and specifically affected and attributed to the change in drinking age.
Well, I mean, should we really debate the 70s and alcohol? I mean, that's just an explanation in itself. So, I mean, basically that's probably just because it was the 70s and we all know what was going on back then. So anything in the 70s I wouldn't even try and debate. I would just stick with the 80s. And as statistics have proven from what I researched that nothing's really changed as far as the mortality rate goes.
Also, drunk driving isn't just from the age groups from like 16 to 18. It's also a huge issue with 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 38-year-olds. I mean, all ages attribute to drunk driving and fatalities in these
However,
crashes.
the information I gave was specifically for ages 18 to 20. I understand that anyone can make poor decisions, and alcohol does impair that. However, on our side, we're not defending drinking and driving or anything like that. Our whole prospect is that we're trying to save lives, and we don't believe that ages 18 to 20 are fully developed to partake in it, and that's due to other things like lack of life experience, the onslaught of peer pressure that's going on still during those age groups, and also brain development. So also, I'd just like to say that there's a majority of people in those groups, they're experiencing things for the first time. They are like getting cars, drinking for the first time, working for the first time, being in serious relationships, going off to war, college, etc. And these people are just entering adulthood, and they still have many mistakes and learning experiences that are taking place. It's a critical transitional period, and yes, they're granted at 18 to make adult decisions. However, they're not full-fledged adults yet. They're still growing and gradually moving their way into adulthood, and it takes learning experiences and things like that to teach somebody. So, I mean, as well, you also have the things like peer pressure, like I said earlier. You have groups from, like, you just graduated high school, you still have high school friends, you still have a high school mentality, and you have lots of people around you partying and doing things. You got the good-looking girl or something, and she's drinking. You want to get along, you want to be social with these people, and that's society, and partying is one of the big things. And as far as brain development goes, there's several different parts of the human brain that are specifically affected by drinking, and they can be specifically harmful to adolescents during that time, like the cerebellum, the hippocampus, the temporal lobe, the prefrontal cortex, and the frontal lobe. The prefrontal cortex and the frontal lobe in particular are affecting of your controlling your rational thinking, your reasoning, and your emotions. Now, if they aren't fully, and actually they aren't fully developed until ages 21 in women and 28 in men. Now, I mean, during that time, alcohol can damage these portions of your brain, and effectively or ineffectively, they can cause lifelong consequences that that hurt a young person's behavior and personality and memory in the future. And last part on that is that it's common. I just think it's common sense to understand that if your brain isn't even fully developed at that time in your life, and it's doing detrimental harm to drink alcohol, I mean, you can't process thinking rationally. So, what makes you think that you can process those thoughts under the effects of alcohol?
Well, that's a very good point, but whether the drinking age is 18 or 21 or 40, it's not going to change kids' mindsets. They're still going to find ways to drink. They're still going to go party. They're still going to have older friends that are giving them alcohol. So wouldn't you rather, these kids are hiding it from their parents, they're hiding it at parties, they're doing it, they're binge drinking because they never have an opportunity to drink. So as soon as they get a chance, they're like, oh, I need to drink, and get drunk. And now these kids are drinking on the roads. They can't call their parents because if their parents catch them, they're 18 years old, they're not allowed to drink, they're going to be angry. But if it's legal for them to drink, parents are going to be more willing and be like, oh yeah, let me pick you up or stay at a friend's house and do that, because it just opens up a better communication with your family and makes it,
It makes you actually make better decisions, you know, because you're not afraid of the consequences. You're not afraid of, you know, if you say you got grounded, you know, because you're 18 and your parents found out that you were drinking, you know, like you would get your car taken away, your cell phone taken away, you know, you lose the trust between your parents. Not only that, but you get tickets. You know, there's a zero tolerance rule in Texas, and so it's just things keep piling on, and whether those, I mean, you're going to drink no matter what, because, I mean, I'm still under the age and I still drink. Now, all it does, it just makes me drink faster and more secretive. Because, I mean, even at like the bowling alley, you know, I just get people to surround me and still drink. You know, this 21 and up thing doesn't stop me from drinking, but it stops me from calling my mom. It stops me from, you know, just any kind of consequence. You know, it's not that big of a deal to me because I'm still going to do it. So instead of having the cops, you know, run around and try and chase down all these teenagers and surround the parties and just chase us down and give us tickets, you know, why can't they just focus their time on better things, like actually, you know, maybe drugs, criminals, stealing, death, etc. Because if you are, you know, under the age and drinking, okay, you have to think about fake ID making. You know, that's a federal offense. So then if someone gets caught making fake IDs and they get sent to prison, awesome. Well, our prisons are already overcrowded. So if they lowered this rate, we wouldn't have fake ID making as much anymore. And so then that would increase the room in any kind of prison. There wouldn't be any contributing to minors, because there's a lot of parents out there that are still giving their kids alcohol. There's a lot of parents out there that have alcohol cabinets. Brothers, sisters, you know, if I was to go in a room with my brother, he has an alcohol cabinet. So if I break into that, even without his consent, if I break into that, then he still gets in trouble for contributing to a minor. And so if they just actually lower this, then I would make better decisions. I mean, as an underage person, I would make better decisions, and I wouldn't want to be binge drinking all the time, you know, especially whenever I'm out. I wouldn't want to be trying to sneak into these bars and all this stuff. Like, I would just be more relaxed and being like, okay, you know, maybe like a beer here and there every once in a while. Not, hey, everybody surround me so I can take a couple shots right now so I can start feeling good real quick, as fast as possible without anybody seeing me. And, you know, it's a dangerous thing, and if they just actually